Hello, everyone. Dr. Victoria Scribo here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. So today we're going to do the second week of August, the week ahead. And if we want to just keep in mind that we are in an 8-month vibration, and 8 is about strength. It's about an ability to overcome our lower nature. It is an energy of cause and effect. It is an energy, it is the number of karma. We are also in 5 universal year, which is about change and freedom, but change and freedom based on responsible action. And the vibration for the month of August is the 13-4 vibration, which is the vibration of death and rebirth. And so we come to a time in the year when many things are being revealed, and we are required to make the changes via those revelations. So, all right, let's take a look at the week ahead in astrology. So we are looking at week 2 of the month of August. That is from August 8th to August 15th. And the highlights of this week, of course, is the start of the week at the new moon in Leo on the 8-8 Lion's Gate. That's number 1. And then we have, beyond that, we have a week of awarenesses and adjustments. So that's actually been a theme for the whole month: awareness and adjustment, awareness and adjustment. But let's take this day by day here. So on Friday, that shouldn't say Friday, that should say Sunday, August 8th, we have, which is incidentally a 21-3 vibration, which is the World card. The World card in the tarot is a card of giving birth to something. So this new moon on the 8th of August is, of course, a new moon. So that already gives us the energy of rebirth. But the vibration of the day, the 21-3, is about manifestation. So something will manifest. This new moon is at 17 degrees of Leo. And the Sabian symbol for 17 degrees of Leo is a volunteer church choir singing religious hymns. According to Dane Rudger, the keynote here is the feeling of togetherness which unites men and women in their dedication to a collective ideal. And the key word here is togetherness. So the symbol for this particular, the Sabian symbol for this particular degree of Leo is one of coming together, sort of singing our song in a harmony, in a choir. You are blending your voices with other people, and everybody has a different tone and a different quality to their voice. But a choir is a group of people that learn to utilize their best talents, their best tone, their best, what they sing best, in concert with other people in what they sing best, to create beautiful music together. And that is quite a beautiful symbol for this new moon, I believe. So here is the new moon, and this is a chart erected for Washington, D.C. So this is the Washington, D.C. chart. And we can see here that we have the sun and the moon together at 16 degrees, 14 minutes of Leo. We round that up to 17 when we're doing the Sabian symbols. The new moon is conjunct Mercury, which is also in Leo. And then the new moon is opposite Saturn, although it is a wide opposition. It is about, well, actually it's not so wide. It's about 7 degrees, a little less than 7 degrees. So that's okay. Oppositions between oppositions to the sun and the moon. We usually get about a 10-degree orb, 8 to 10-degree orb, so it's in orb. And even more tightly aspected, of course, is the square to Uranus in Taurus. Uranus in Taurus. As we look at Uranus in its relationship to the sun and moon, we have a first quarter crisis and action square here. Now, we just had Uranus square the sun exactly yesterday. Today, I'm doing this on the 7th, it's Saturday, so Friday the 6th, we had the exact square of the sun and Uranus. This is a square that creates a need to act, and that action comes from a place of the need to survive, actually. So people taking action at this time will be taking it because they feel it is a necessary action to take for the survival of themselves or the survival of whatever it is that they're trying to maintain or keep, whether it's a business or a family or an idea or an ideal or whatever, you know. So that's important. We also have it in a wide, however, trine to the south node of the moon, and also a pretty tight trine to Chiron. So this, we have a grand fire trine here. I would call that a grand fire trine. We also look to Juno here, which has just turned direct and has been moving with the south node of the moon for quite a while now. Now that she's moving direct, they will start to move away from each other. So we have to put Juno in the mix as well. And Juno is an archetype of a relationship. It's an archetype of feminine power in that respect. In this chart for the United States, the ascendant is Virgo, and so we look to Mercury and aspects to Mercury. And of course, Mercury is actually in conjunct to Pluto and in conjunct to Pallas Athena. And Pallas Athena is social justice. She is conjunct Neptune and Pisces here, which brings a lot of power. Neptune is the power of the collective. It's the collective mass consciousness, as it were, in a sextile to, of course, Pluto, which is about the transformation of the structures of power and society in Capricorn. And then we have it in conjunct Mercury, and Mercury is at the head of that yod. And it requires us to make adjustments in the way that we self-express, so that perhaps our voices can be heard. So we have a lot to say, and this new moon sort of plants the seed for that, but it won't be without its challenges from actually the needs of society and the challenge of the structures of society being transformed. And as we're doing it, it's like we're trying to get stabilized in a very unstable environment. Pluto is in a trine to Venus in Virgo. That's very helpful because it brings a certain amount of knowledge that we know and how to fix things. So there's a lot of energy for actually fixing things. And this is true worldwide. It's not just in the US. This just happens to be a US chart, but the trine is there for all of us to access that energy. And we also have Venus still in that trine to Uranus. So this sort of activates our knowledge base so that we can perhaps do the things necessary to fix and to restructure things. And then on this side, we have an ease of change, because of Uranus trining that Venus. So our values are pretty malleable right now. About that Mercury in this chart, we also have it opposite Jupiter. This is going to be exact in a couple weeks, I think, or next week maybe. I don't think it's this week. I should look ahead more, right? And that's important because, first of all, we have a new moon. I mean, we have a full moon that's going to be activating that Jupiter on the 22nd, I think. I think it's the 22nd of August. But it is the Mercury and Jupiter are the two planets that are the planetary rulers of the nodes. And so when their opposition happens, we are going to become aware of something that's going to help us to evolve our emotional body through the nodes. So, okay, so let's see what else is going on here. I am going to do a specific video on the Lion's Gate and the chart for the new moon. So I will get into that a little bit more in a separate video. On Monday, August 9th, we move into a 22-4 vibration. That is the Fool card. Incidentally, Monday, August 9th is my mother's 101st birthday. And she is now in a nursing home. So, and because of COVID, can't really have a party for her, but I will go there and we will have some cake. Let us eat cake. On Monday, Mercury makes an inconjunct to Pluto. That's where Mercury, remember I said Mercury is in that inconjunct Pluto, becomes exact. This requires emotional adjustments. There is a crisis that is created through the inconjunct, humbling circumstances coming from society. Mercury in Leo is creative self-expression, right? And then Pluto is the powers that be. And so we may have some revolutionary ideas that we want to put out there. Not all of those will be accepted right away. We do need to make some adjustments and not become attached, not become too enamored by our own ideas and our own thoughts here, but be willing to be open to making the adjustments necessary around those. We also have Venus making an opposition to Neptune. On Monday, this occurs at 23 degrees of Virgo Pisces. This Venus-Neptune opposition is a point of awareness around issues of love, values, healing, forgiveness, and compassion. It is actually the harvest point or the halfway point of the cycle. This is what has been born from the seeds planted on March 13th, 2021. At 21 degrees of Pisces. That's when those two planets, Venus and Neptune, came together. Now, Venus and Neptune are related to each other. Neptune is considered the higher octave of Venus. Venus is the planet of love. Neptune is the planet of compassion. Venus is much generally more practical, while Neptune is much more imaginative. But when you put those two together, it can be very, very potent. But we can also have a lot of confusion with Neptune. So we have to be aware and be aware and take care, as I've said throughout the throughout the year, right? So 21 degrees of Pisces, where this new moon occurred back on the 13th of August, which was actually a day of the 21-3 vibration again, which is that world card, which is the card of manifestation. So this was a seed planted to actually be given birth to, and it is given birth on a 22-4 vibration, which is the Fool card. So we have the beginning, the end, and the beginning at the 21-3, and then the 22-4 is sort of taking that leap. So let's go back to March, March 13th. It says, under the watchful and kind eye of a Chinese servant, a girl fondles a little white lamb. growth in consciousness in its earliest tactile awareness of the wonders of unsophisticated living. If we go deeper into this, symbol, Dane Rogers speaks of the Chinese taking care of this little child, and the idea of the white lamb. Says that the Chinese came from a previous root race from, I believe, Lemuria, and now they are there watching us and guiding us as the next race comes in to focus. So it's really about us, a lot of what it seems like has happened historically, most recently, the whole idea of colonialism and all that manifest destiny stuff. And and showing people the way, we'll make them be like us and show them the way, has caused a lot of pain and suffering in the indigenous populations. It's as if they're trying to destroy the past to create the future. And yet, if we were to just honor the past to create the future, I think we would be in a much better stead. And I think that's what this particular symbol and the Sabian symbols talks of, honoring the past and allowing the past to nurture the future, as opposed to it being, separate and opposite. So here we have the initial conjunction of Venus and Neptune occurring at 21 degrees of Pisces. This was a chart for Washington, and it occurred in the fourth house. The fourth house is real estate and homes and such. And we did just, I think there was another moratorium on certain situations in certain areas where the COVID vaccine was becoming more of a problem. And that was actually done by the CDC, which they actually don't believe is going to be legal, but by the time they realize it's not legal, they would have done its job. So it's sort of a stopgap method without actually changing some laws. I think that's what they're trying to do with that. But here we have the opposition. And this opposition is, let's see, where are we here? We have, where are you, Venus? I can't find anything. That's the funny thing about Neptune, it tends to disappear. We have Neptune, this is at 23 degrees, and here's Venus at 23 degrees. And we have Pallas Athena still here, conjunct Neptune. This brings an awareness of the needs, right? And what's just, and so the social justice needs of people and what their needs are. What do we need to do to fix things, right? That's very much a Virgo Pisces axis thing. And in the United States chart, it is in the first and the seventh house, which is the I am house and the we are house. So, we need to work this energy together. Let's take a look at the Sabian symbols. It says for Virgo, which is the symbol associated with Venus, right? 23 degrees of Virgo. It says a lion tamer displays his skill and character, the need to tame one's vital energies in order to fulfill one's destiny. The Sabian symbol for Mercury and Neptune at 23 degrees of Pisces is a materializing medium giving a seance, the ability to give one's own vital energy to substantiate one's conscious ideals or unconscious desires. So it's interesting, these two symbols. One is about taking your vital energy and focusing and learning how to work with it so that you can fulfill your destiny. And the other one is a little bit more about using your vital energy to prove your beliefs to be right. So it says here, okay, let's see. Okay, let's just keep going. Tuesday, August 10th, we have Mercury opposing Jupiter. I was wrong. It happens now. And it happens at 29 degrees of Aquarius. Boy, Mercury's moving fast. I didn't realize how fast Mercury's moving, but it is moving very fast at this time. I think it's the fastest thing. Of course, the moon's the fastest thing, but Mercury is very, very fast at this time. So we have the opposition between Mercury and Jupiter. And this is important because Mercury is the ruler of the North Node and Jupiter is the ruler of the South Node. So these symbols and this part of the zodiac is going to give us a lot of information. And then, of course, we are going to have a full moon at this degree of the zodiac, a Leo Aquarius, right? The sun in Leo and the moon in Aquarius. At that last degree of Leo Aquarius. So it will come back on the full moon. So we get maybe a preview or a prelude here. So this is a point of awareness of the synodic cycle between Mercury and Jupiter. This is especially important because the nodes of the moon, the axis of the evolution of our emotional body, is in the signs ruled by these planets. This cycle began on actually, this cycle began 3 times because the conjunction between Mercury and Jupiter, because Mercury was retrograde, happens 3 times. The first conjunction happened on January 11th, 2021, and the vibration at 6 degrees of Aquarius, we'll go over these degrees. The vibration was the 17-8 vibration. That is the star card. So that is inspiration and hope. Second conjunction fell on February 14th at 14 degrees of Aquarius. That's the 21-3 vibration of that day, which is, again, the world card, the manifestation. And then the third conjunction occurred on March 4th, 2021, which is actually the 12-3 vibration, which is the Hanged Man, which is a sense of having to watch what happens and come to an understanding of why. Interesting that the 21 and the 12 are transposed numbers, right? They both add up to 3. So this, in its initial conjunction, just by the numbers, we're looking at finding your guiding star. We're looking at manifestation, and we're looking at acceptance, right? Acceptance for what you can change, what you can't change, energy to change the things you can, and wisdom to know the difference. So we're going to take these separately because this is a really important point in this week and in the cycle this year because of the nodal placement. So the first conjunction occurred at 6 degrees of Aquarius. It says a masked figure performs ritualistic acts in a mystery play. The individual's involvement in long-established patterns of activity aiming at the release of collective power. Collective power. There are many things, many rites, many rituals, many ways of doing things that create that collective power. As a sort of a non-religious example of that is when people protest, right? People come into the street, they have their signs, they have their voice heard, they sing, they chant, they walk. They bang pots sometimes, and of course the reaction of the police and stuff isn't always amenable to that. It depends on who's out there and what they allow. But this Mercury conjunct Jupiter occurred on January 11th. Now that was 5 days after the insurrection, so we were still sort of vibrating from that experience. But let's take a look at it here. Here it is. It is in the 10th house. The 10th house is the most public place in the zodiac. It's also conjunct Saturn here, Saturn. So this is an energy of sort of putting yourself out there, right? Putting yourself out there, performing those ritualistic activities. It says here, the great mysteries of the past were created by inspired seers and adepts for the purpose of transferring to a mentally conscious and humanly significant level of group operation, what in the lower kingdoms of life we call instincts. Biological and cosmic energies can thus be used to ensure the social process does not lose touch with the deeper realities of the planetary and universal life. Rituals are binding, and often the performers wear masks, for they do not act as human persons, but as focal points for the release of transpersonal forces. And the key word here is the individual is seen having assumed transpersonal responsibility. And we're all doing that. We all, sort of take on that responsibility when we speak, when we take our actions. They are all impressed upon the morphogenic field as we create our own reality, right? The second conjunction, this one occurred on February 14th, Valentine's Day, at 14 degrees of Aquarius. It says a train entering a tunnel, the ability to shortcut the process of natural evolution by an exercise of will, mental skills, and physical discipline. It's very interesting because all of these have been very sort of conscious actions and a sense of will and a sense of utilizing your energy, perhaps for a bigger purpose. Now here we can see the Mercury and Jupiter are conjunct here. In this case, this is Washington. It is in the 6th house of service and health at that time, February. Okay, let's see. The last one, the third conjunction occurred at 18 degrees of Aquarius. This occurred on March 4th. And let's see, let's take a look at it. It's right here. It's down here in the 4th house again. A man's secret motives are being publicly unmasked. The difficulty for the modern individual to keep secrets, his private past, or his deeper motives. This symbology logically follows the two preceding ones. Today, struggling between the power of society and the rights of the individual leads an end to the defeat of the latter, the individual. The media and the innumerable government agents are nearly always able to find access to remains or records of past actions. Modern psychologists and psychiatrists are increasingly adept at penetrating the deepest secret of life through analysis and all kinds of more or less allowed techniques involving drugs and subconscious reactions of muscles and nerves. The individual whose activities have to remain unrecognized is engaged in a constant struggle. He needs the help of a higher power as well as the protective agencies he may have placed at his service. So this really is a sense that, this symbol really is talking about the fact that there really is no privacy, and that everything can be revealed. And so I think there's a certain amount of peace that we have to come to about our own actions and actions in the past, and being able to sort of admit and then release that, and perhaps take responsibility for some other actions. So these are all things that were seated at the new moon, the 3 new moons. So now we look at the actual opposition. There's just one. At 29 degrees of Leo for Mercury. It says a mermaid emerges from the ocean waves ready for rebirth in human form. The stage in which an intense feeling, intuition rises from the unconscious is about to take form as a conscious thought. The yearning for conscious form and solidity in opposition to Jupiter at 29 degrees of Aquarius, a butterfly emerging from a chrysalis. The capacity to utterly transform the character of one's consciousness by radically altering the structural patterns of everyday living and types of relationships one enters upon, the conscious totality of being. So we have two symbols here about becoming In one case, it is the urge to become. In another case, it is the transformational process on the other side of that. And so we will become aware to a certain extent of what we have become through this opposition. Wednesday, August 11th, Mercury ingresses into Virgo. It is moving into a sign that it rules. Mercury is in its dignity in Virgo. 1 degree of Virgo is a portrait. In a portrait, the significant features of a man's head are artistically emphasized. The capacity to picture oneself clearly and the salient features and overall meanings of any life situation. And the key word here is discrimination. Of course, that is what Virgo is all about. It's all about discrimination. It's all about discernment. And so Mercury, the planet of the mind, helps us with that, with an ability to discern and utilize our mind in the analytic process. I also like to look to see where Mercury is. Oh no, well, it's Mercury's in Mercury sign. So that's it. That is the energy around that. We also have a trine between Venus and Pluto on that day, the 11th. Venus, of course, in Virgo, Pluto in Capricorn. This is a waning trine of understanding and a trine of social rewards. So this, if you put the time into your values, into transforming your values, into taking the steps to improve upon and better understand what is important in your life, you will get the social rewards from this. This was actually seated back on the 28th of January at 26 degrees of Capricorn, of course, because Pluto is in Capricorn. So any of the initial conjunctions that have to do with Pluto are always going to be in the sign, right? That because Pluto's in the sign for so long. A nature spirit dancing in the iridescent mists of a waterfall, the ability to perceive the hidden and creative spiritual nature, spirit of natural phenomenon. There's a lot of these symbols this year about connecting with nature and the mystery and the magic within nature. The Sabian symbol for 25 degrees of Virgo, where Venus is now. Now the initial conjunction occurred at 26 degrees of Capricorn. This trine is actually happening at 25 degrees of Capricorn and 25 degrees of Venus, of Virgo for Venus. So Venus, the symbol for Venus, a boy with a censer, serves a priest near the altar, the first stage of actual participation in the great ritual of planetary evolution. So this is, in a way, a symbol of a child who is being part of a rite or a ritual. And in a way, we're all kind of like children with this new realization around our relationship to the earth and the need for mindfulness. Yeah, to a certain extent. And it is trine the Sabian symbol for 25 degrees of Capricorn, which is a store filled with precious Oriental rugs. And the symbol here is that we utilize our creative force to make things of beauty and to make our lives more comfortable, but not necessarily getting too obsessed with that comfort. It more has to do with the necessity in some cases to make things a little easier on ourselves, actually. Friday, August 13th. This is the weekend of missing the mark. So, and I say that because we have a lot of inconjuncts, and inconjuncts are always about having to make adjustments. So we start the week with this new moon. We have this very potent opposition. She's sort of showing us the way forward. And now here we are, we're ready to go. And we come up against all these little roadblocks and not so much roadblocks as detours. Inconjuncts kind of work as detours. It's like, I'm going to go in this direction And this, I'm going to go from point A to point B, and you're on the road, and all of a sudden the road to get to point B the bridge is down. The bridge has been, washed out by a flood, right? Or a rainstorm. And now you have to figure out how to still get to point B, but you can't take the road that you wanted to take. So that's kind of how inconjuncts work. So on Friday the 13th, we have Mars making an inconjunct to Saturn at 10 of Virgo Aquarius. This is a missing of the mark. Mars is about forward motion. Saturn is about, authority. So don't speed on this day. Don't break the law, because you will be found. This cycle was seated back on March 23rd at 25 degrees of Capricorn. There's that store filled with Oriental rugs, same symbol. And we also have on Saturday, we have Venus in conjunct Jupiter. Now, of the two inconjuncts, Mars in conjunct Saturn would probably be the more of the frustrating. And that's one of the things that happens with these inconjuncts, especially with Mars and Saturn. We can feel very frustrated. So do watch that energy, because you can end up hurting yourself with that. And then Saturday, we have Venus in conjunct Jupiter, missing the mark, having to make emotional adjustments. Are you too optimistic? Are you spending too much money? Are you too overconfident? Venus and Jupiter are considered the benefics. And sometimes when they're in this situation, it's like when you're out and you're like, you have this wacky idea, and your friend who doesn't really make good decisions says, yeah, do it, that kind of thing. So it's like, maybe that friend wasn't the one to ask, kind of thing. Anyway, this cycle was seated back on February 11th at 13 degrees of Aquarius, which is a barometer, the ability to discover basic natural facts that allow us to plan in advance for action. And so the actions that you're planning on this weekend may not actually work out the way you expect. You might have to make some adjustments. And both of these situations, the Venus, Jupiter on Saturday, and the Friday, Saturn, Mars in conjuncts, our Scorpio side in conjuncts. And so it's really important not to get attached to outcome with this, because that's what can give you some problems. Okay, so that was the week ahead. So let's stop this share here. And we're going to do a card reading for the week ahead. So remember, this week ahead is new moon, opposition between Pluto, Mercury and Jupiter, very, very important. A number, quite a few inconjuncts, having to not get attached to outcome, and the opposition between Mercury and Jupiter. The oppositions don't require action, they require observation. And so it's important that you observe. So let's see what the energy is for this upcoming week. I'm going to be using the Druid Craft Tarot. Yes, the Druid Craft Tarot, which I am falling in love with as I'm using it. I've used it for a number of readings, actually. It's really a fun deck. The artwork is beautiful, and I'm really vibing. So let's see what's ahead for us this week, this new moon week. And we also have to remember that this new moon that's occurring on Sunday is occurring at the 8/8 Lionsgate. And there's a lot of different stuff about the Lionsgate that we'll talk about in a separate video. Okay, so what's ahead this week? The Ace of Pentacles. It's interesting because last week Pentacles were all over the cards. So this is about new beginnings, new beginnings. There's a certain amount of abundance that comes with that 8/8 gateway, and an ability to manifest. So let's see what's crossing that ability to manifest. We have the Lady, or this is the Empress card, as a challenge. I think what this is saying is that if you are going to start something new and create, we have to take in we have to take into consideration the earth herself. What is your, what is your big idea? Is it to create more plastic widgets that are going to end up in the ocean? Is it like, is your plan to become like to build houses and build more things, but you're cutting down a forest to do it? Like, you have to take, and I'm not saying you're doing that, but I say those are the kind of things Mother Earth wants you to consider as you start your new projects, that you have to consider her as you do them. We have some chaos and confusion. This could be created, this is a Five of Wands. This could be created through all those inconjuncts that we have and the need to make adjustments and not be too happy about it. But the Five of Wands is also a super creative card. So just because you're arguing about things doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It as long as the discussions, these lively discussions, this like back and forth, no you, no me, this, that, and the other thing, can create a wave of creative energy. So we have the Hanged Man in the past, a sense of being sort of hung up, not really having the power to do anything to change things. I think that is moving out. We have the Three of Cups in the sky. This is celebration. This is support from friends, but this can also be a danger of maybe over imbibing. So you need to be careful of that this week. And then we have the Prince of Wands. And so we will be able to start to move forward on our aspirations. We will be able to start moving forward. This is about movement. It's about a movement on the things that you believe in and the things that are important to you. How it's seen from the other side, we have the Seven of Swords. Seven of Swords, or from the outside, did I say the other side? The outside. The Seven of Swords is an energy of becoming aware of that not everything is as it seems. This is things coming out. This is I feel like this is just that there's going to be more information coming out about a plan that was not particularly maybe well thought out or did not work. Domestic situation, we have the Queen of Swords, but she is ill-disposed. Be careful of not everybody is well-intentioned around you this week, so be aware of that in your domestic situation where you spend most of your time. There can be somebody who is talking trash about you. It could be something as simple as that. You just you can't really trust your environment. Not necessarily your home, although that could be the case for some people. But be aware in your environment, in your area where you live, of people who are not quite right, who are not quite mentally right. So I know what that means for me here. So just be aware of that, because they're not coming from a balanced place. Hopes and fears is the Hermit. It's also, the Hermit is a card of wisdom. The Hermit is a card of wisdom, and it's wisdom accrued over many experiences. So we can depend on our past experiences to help inform us what to do at this time. And as a fear, perhaps it's a repeating of the past that people are not interested in. And then we have the Star card, but it is upside down. This is about hope. This is about hope. Do not lose hope. Do not lose hope. This could be, you know what this feels like to me? I think for some people, something that they believed in and believed in and believed in, they're going to find out was not real, or was not worth their energy and their love and their affection and their belief. So I think that there's going to be a lot of people out there that feel like they've entered somewhat of a desert of belief. Yeah, and so underneath this reading, we have the Six of Cups, which is nostalgia, the Four of Swords, which is rest and recuperation, and the Three of Swords from heartbreak. So generally, I think it's a good week. But we are kind of dealing with we're dealing with the, what's the word I'm looking for? The fallout from the past around situations that I'm just looking here. Did I have a past card? Okay, you know what? I don't think I had a past card here unless I grabbed it. Oh yeah, I did. The Hanged Man. I'm sorry. I got all messed up in my cards here. So new beginnings for sure, taking into consideration. We can get on the road with things, but there's going to be a lot of people who feel very disappointed, very dispirited, because the things they believed in have come up to be false. And perhaps they're waking up from a sleep, really. So that's the week ahead, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. Like and subscribe, and I will see you again next week for the week ahead. Take care.